Freedom's the answer. What's the question? You're listening to Ernest Hancock.
Stop me now. I'm having such a good time. I'm having a ball. Don't stop me now. If you want to have a good time, just give me a call. Don't stop me now.
Yeah, don't stop me now. Here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, from the BEA beautiful studios of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com here in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, let me show you something. I want you to see this graphic. This is what it looks like when they scan you and they just invert it. It's like looking at a negative. You can see they got the negative. They do that just because, I don't know, make you pretend like it's, not that invasive. But you just flip it. And all of a sudden, man, you got the nude standing there. And that's one thing they did to Meg. They go, ooh, we want to definitely get her. Yummy. So we're going to go ahead and have her come up. And then we'll, I'm really concerned about what the future holds for this. I don't see where this stops. And I think what's going to happen, George, is they're going to start putting the scan that they take along with your national database to your name. So that means when you go through, either they're going to biometric identify you with facial or your ear or iris or whatever, or you're just going to take your plane ticket and zap it as you go into the scanner. Boom, they add that to your national health record, HIPAA, whatever the thing. I can see, man, we are cattle, and they are getting as much data as possible. And I'll tell you why. Because they can. For the first time in history, they have been able to accumulate and have the memory storage capacity to put any and every... You watch the movie Enemy of the State with Will Smith, and you just go, oh, and Gene Hackman, and you go, you know what? It's going to be... Soon we're going to wish it was only that bad. It's going to be a lot worse. And here we got at birth, they're taking blood samples of the babies. They got DNA. This is getting stupid. And it has to be resisted somewhere. And I'm glad you guys have taken this on. I need to know what kind of media has been contacting you. How pervasive has the message got out?
All kinds of media. A lot of Fox TV, a little bit of NBC. A lot of, Bloomberg, interview for print, Wall Street Journal, New York Times blog, and tons and tons of talk radio, from Seattle to St. Louis, you name it.
And what has been the position taken by the media? Especially, it's interesting that you were saying we haven't got the Jim yet. He's did MSNBC. I'm wondering what position they take on this.
Well, I've gotten a lot of favorable, sympathetic responses, but at the same time, in the home of aviation in Seattle and Como Radio, I got a really hostile reception. And I was on a conference call this morning with Epic and Ralph Nader and other groups that are leading this nationwide, and the response from CNN was highly skeptical. One of their questions one of their people made was, is this really something serious, or is this just a flash in a pan that it's just an internet thing, nothing's going to come of it?
Well, what do they think should happen?
Well, they had a thing on. They've given a lot of time to Janet Napolitano and John Pistol on on their show. They mentioned us in an article. They reprinted some of our stuff, but at the same time, they're also giving a lot of play to the administration, and are kind of skeptical about. It seems the answer is anything to keep us safe, right?
We got Jim on. You there, Jim?
Yes, I am.
Jim, it's good to hear from you, man. How you doing?
Great. Good to hear from you.
Jim, there was a conference call this morning. Mark Hinkle from the Libertarian Party called me national chair, and I heard you were going to be on it, so I said, you know what? You just don't need me. So is there anything you can share from that? What happened?
It resulted in more media hits. There was, it's like CNN and New York Times and some big media names were there. Ended up getting me a CNN interview, which I just finished. So, it just opens doors. Every opportunity leads to more opportunity.
Well, tell me about the CNN and MSNBC and these guys. I mean, are they, poo-pooing you? You're going, oh, you terrorist lover? Or are they kind of, they're taking the side of the people? What's their perspective?
Well, surprisingly supportive, I would say, almost overwhelmingly. I mean, they feel an obligation to sort of represent the naysayers. And they say, well, come on, how are we going to be safe? What about the critics? But they're not unfair about it, and they've given us a lot of opportunity to express the opposition, and they really don't have any choice. I mean, they can't just sit back and act like this is fine, although USA Today, they seem fine going on record supporting TSA, but the rest of the world is totally, I think, with us on this. So these media outlets have to get on board with us, or they're going to be left behind.
Wow. I'll tell you what my concern is. My main concern is that we are expected to appear before the king naked, and if we dissent, you get groped by the king's men. And I'm wondering what, as an individual, as a father, a husband, we're expected to what? When they're groping our daughters and our wives and our children and our sons and so on. It's like, is it a test? Is it something that they're looking to us to see what a reaction is going to be? Or do they really think that, or are they just trying to sell scanners? What's their motivation really, do you think?
Good question. I think it's hard to say. I don't know if there's like one motivation. I think everybody involved sort of has their own part that they're doing. It's kind of a giant make-work program is sort of what I'm getting from this. It's selling scanners. I've heard from Catherine Albrecht. She mentioned to me her theory about why they're not using bomb-sniffing dogs. Well, bomb-sniffing dogs don't cost $200,000, so nobody's going to get rich putting in a few dogs at the airport. So they go with the option that's going to ingratiate politicians and line their coffers.
Oh, I'm. Is it that simple? I mean, is there something else coming? I don't know. I can't really get a bead on what's happening, and I just want to, and I got a picture here, of you. Oftentimes you're talking to officers. You're doing a lot of FIJA stuff. You're at the federal buildings. You're, willing to go up against the man. But what's their view, or your view of them? Are they good peace officers, or are they all just this law enforcement thing? Or like with this TSA deal and us meeting with the Phoenix police here and the TSA tomorrow and everything, I got the impression they have no clue what their role is. They don't know.
They basically clammed up. The first conversation I had with TSA was when I did a little test down at the airport to see if I could distribute flyers unmolested. And I talked with one guy, one of the big fat blue shirt guys who's sitting around, and I gave him my flyer, and I said, well, what do you think about this scanner? He's like, well, I can't really talk about it. I said, is this the job that you signed up for? If they ask you to take nude photography of people, will you do it? He's like, well, I have to. It's my job. I said, if they ask you to touch the genitals of a young boy, is that acceptable? He said, well, I got to do my job. I mean, really?
I mean, well, it makes me wonder. They say, I got to do my job, or I get to do my job. I mean, I'm wondering what their mindset is. So I don't know. I mean, I really don't. And I want to find out. And that's what we're, trying to do here, is to find out. And the media, it's good to hear that the media is kind of coming out, letting you have your say. But when they get pressured, I give you a good example. There was a news reporter or weather reporter from one of the local stations that had the little 6-year-old girl that was screaming that didn't want to be searched. Well, then later he did a segment on the news talking about, well, yeah, we got him to do more children's sensitivity training or some crap, And I'm going, that's it? That's your role as a dad? That's what You can grope them as long as you say pretty please or something to a 6-year-old kid. So I'm glad I'm with you guys, and we're going to be checking in with you guys tomorrow after we get a little bit more information. And we have our meeting with the TSA and the Phoenix Police here for our Sky Harbor event here. And we'll be talking to you about maybe one of your graphics that we've been putting up throughout the show here. We might be doing a billboard. We'll be working on that, too, because I'm telling you, man, this is not going away. George Donnelly, Jim Babb from Philadelphia, thanks for coming on, guys. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Ernie.
We'll be right back here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, in just a little bit. You guys stay right there. Don't go away.